O Spirit of compassion, enter our hearts, we pray. Be with us in the hard hours. Help us to be kind this day. O Spirit of unity, help us enter into the pain of our neighbors. Let us walk where they walk, that we might speak a gentle word along the way. O Spirit of love, enlarge our sympathies toward all troubled folk. Let us be generous of heart, that we might forgive and be forgiven. O Spirit of thanksgiving, let us be grateful for hands that serve, for those who give, and for those who receive. O Spirit of life, let us walk together in our weakness, that by treading the path together, we may be strong. O Spirit of spheres, help us to face the mystery of being. Secure us in the large patterns we can trust, and bless us this holy day. Richard Gilbert.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. It is a joy to be here with you. Y'all's kids were a tough crowd. I tell you, I've worked some hard rooms before, but man. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Amanda Schuber, and I am ecstatic to be here with you today. And there's something you need to know. My favorite toy as a child was a box, a cardboard refrigerator box to be specific, big enough to hold not only me, but my wild imagination. That box was a house, complete with a built-in washer and dryer and a picket fence. It was a train chugging through winding mountain passes, a submarine carrying me to the deepest, darkest places in the ocean floor. And my mother would come in every day and say, "Who are you today, Amanda?" That box was a vehicle where I spent countless hours trying on new identities to see which ones fit. I eventually outgrew that box, and I remember being sad as I sat in the window and watched the rain disintegrate it. And I watched the garbage man come and carry it off to its last great adventure without me. At such a young age, I had no idea that my entire life would be spent navigating my way in and out of boxes, both those imposed on me and those where I found safety and comfort. A very smart science teacher once told me that there are no true boxes in nature, that they are a creation of civilization designed to hold and to hide. And I often wonder what it is we're trying to hold or hide with the various categorical boxes that permeate all of our lives. From the earliest of ages, we're taught to put things into categories. Any Sesame Street fan or parent of a Sesame Street fan knows the famous song, "One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just does not belong." I, like you, have spent an exorbitant amount of time in my life thinking about where I belong. And I'm here today to help you think about who belongs here with you, in this community, in this pulpit. I'm here to help you unpack a few of your boxes, to see what's held and what may be hiding inside of them. Now, I grew up in Alabama. I am the first grandchild in a large and proper Southern family. I studied charm and manners at Miss Elizabeth's Academy for Young Ladies, and yes, I can still do a Texas curtsy. Thank you very much. I attended college. I was active in my community. I performed in voice, theater, and concert symphony. I was the apple of my family's eye. and I sat on a pedestal that was not only high, but precariously grounded in my ability to do no wrong, and for God's sake, don't embarrass the family. Needless to say, my fall from that pedestal, long, but quick descent. I was 22 years old when I came out as a lesbian and gay rights activist on CNN. Yeah, you heard me, CNN, your place for up-to-date headline news. Now I'll admit that my decision to give an interview to a local TV station at the annual Gay Pride Festival in Birmingham, Alabama, not one of my brightest ideas. But then again, I had no way of knowing that CNN would pick up the feed. And furthermore, I had no idea that some aunt 3 times removed would happen to be watching and call my grandmother. The fallout was not pretty. My mother had known my secret for a while, and being the loving woman that she is, she was really only concerned about my happiness and well-being. I wish I could say the same for the rest of my family, who felt, and for over 10 years continued to feel betrayed, ashamed, and horribly embarrassed. I had only unpacked my identity in a very limited way for my family. I had allowed them to see only the pieces that I thought that they could handle. They only saw the proper, well-mannered, always amenable, and eager to please side of me. And it could be argued that if they had dug a little deeper, looked a little bit harder, and quite possibly if I had felt just a little bit safer, the other sides of my life would have shown through to them. They would have found another side of me, another aspect of my life that makes me uniquely who I am. However, once they became aware of my life as a lesbian, all other accomplishments and identities were lost in the glaring background of what they saw as my difference from them. Gone were all the accomplishments in theater. Gone were the hundreds of volunteer hours that earned me scholarship to college. Gone was my identity as the beloved grandchild. All was replaced by otherness and an inability to see me as a whole person. Emerson wrote, "People only see what they are prepared to see." And it's a sad reality that our lives very seldom prepare us to challenge what we think we know about ourselves and about others. For a year after finding out that I identify as a lesbian, a very close friend always introduced me by saying, "This is my lesbian friend, Amanda." I was not prepared for that shift in my public identity. I really wasn't sure why my orientation was of any consequence to her grocer, the laundryman, the guy down the block. So I decided to turn the tables a bit, and I began introducing her by saying, "This is my Jewish friend, Gase." She was a bit astounded by this, demanded to know what it had to do with anything. I'm sure that you're starting to see the point here. Even though she had known me for years prior to my coming out, by labeling me, she created a social shorthand, boxing me up neatly and giving social cues to the rest of the world. Now, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that there is not one person in here today that is one-dimensional. This room is filled with parents, and children, teachers, tennis players, poker players, snorers, travelers. The list goes on and on and on. We've all spent our lives trying on new identities, casting off those which we outgrow and evolving into who we are today in this moment, in this space. We've learned how to unpack our identities when it's necessary, and far too often only when it's safe do we unpack them for the rest of the world. There was a man in my life for a time, Eli, who taught me a great deal about the fluid nature of identity. You see, when I met Eli in college, I knew him as Sarah. We were both outspoken lesbian activists who found many common threads running through our lives. And over the course of several years, Sarah started to fade away and Eli emerged. Now identifying as a transgendered man, Eli walks through the world on the cusp of identity. The outside world often remains confused by his sometimes murky gender presentation, and it's because it challenges the social constraints of male and female. People are often afraid of what his identity means to their own understanding of self. Eli lives two lives. One, struggling to say goodbye to the butch lesbian that took his family so long to embrace, and one as a trans man, still rough around the edges, working for a balance. In standing as witness to this transition of identity, I can still see in Eli the person I came to know so long ago. There remains a passion for music and an unparalleled love of Alabama football, Roll Tide, a quirky sense of humor, and an uncanny ability to remember one-liners from really bad movies. But regardless of what remains, the need to simplify his gender identity and put himself in a box that others can handle consumes most of his energy. Although our lives have long since gone in separate directions, during the many years that we dated, his transition from female to male caused great concern among the people that know me as a lesbian. The inevitable question varied in form, but was searching for the same thing. So, are you straight now? To this day, I remain confounded by the need to label me. And the first question that springs to my mind is, does it matter? What you've heard this morning is one small fragment of my story, one small piece of a lifetime. My identity has shaped me, has hindered me at times, and has compelled me to become a beyond categorical thinking trainer. My experiences with identity constantly reaffirm my belief that it is essential to hear each other's stories and to understand each other's truths. Elsewise, we fall into the trap of boxing people up for our comfort. Now, I have outgrown many of the boxes of my childhood. I have pushed through the seams, and I've sent some of them to the curb. I maintain my identity as an activist, a political and passionate political junkie, a lesbian, a daughter, a mother, a Southerner, a teacher, and so much more, and I'm constantly growing and changing. I accommodate all of my identities within the words of Dan Byrne. He says, if you must put me in a box, make sure it's a big box with lots of windows and a door to walk through and a nice high chimney. And I can tell you today that there are times that I long for that kind of a box, one that offers me options, some room to grow. This afternoon, we will ask you to look inside some of your boxes, to dig deep into the dark and maybe scary places, to stretch, possibly bust a few seams here and there. We'll ask you to share some of your stories. We'll ask you to witness the transformative power of really knowing somebody beyond labels, beyond categories, and most certainly beyond boxes. I'd like to leave you this morning with another story, one you may have heard before, called The Rabbi's Gift by Dr. M. Scott Peck. The story concerns a monastery that had fallen upon hard times. Once a great order, as a result of the waves of anti-monastic persecution in the 17th and 18th century and the rise of secularism in the 19th, all of its branch houses were lost, and it had become decimated, to the extent that there were only 5 monks left in the decaying mother house, the abbot and 4 others, all over the age of 70. Clearly, it was a dying order. In the deep woods surrounding the monastery, there was a little hut that a rabbi from a nearby town occasionally used for a hermitage. Through their many years of prayer and contemplation, the older monks had become a bit psychic, so they could always sense when the rabbi was in his hermitage. "The rabbi is in the woods. The rabbi is in the woods again," they would whisper to each other. As he agonized over the imminent death of his order, it occurred to the abbot at one such time to visit the hermitage, to ask the rabbi if by some possible chance he could offer any advice that might save the monastery. The rabbi welcomed the abbot to his hut And when the abbot explained the purpose of his visit, the rabbi could only commiserate with him. "I know how it is," he exclaimed. "The spirit, it's gone out of the people. It is the same in my town. Almost no one comes to synagogue anymore." So the old abbot and the old rabbi wept together. Then they read parts of the Torah and quietly spoke of deep things. Time came when the abbot had to leave. They embraced, and the abbot said, "It has been wonderful that we should meet after all these years. But I have still failed in my purpose of coming here. Is there nothing you can tell me? No piece of advice you can give me that will help to save my order?" No, I'm sorry," said the rabbi. "I have no advice to give. The only thing I can tell you is that the Messiah is one of you." When the abbot returned to the monastery, his fellow monks gathered to ask him, "Well, what did he say?" "He couldn't help," the abbot answered. "We just wept and read the Torah together. The only thing he did say as I was leaving, something cryptic, the Messiah is one of us. I don't know what he meant." In the days and weeks and months that followed, the old monks pondered this and wondered whether there was some possible significance to the rabbi's words. The Messiah is one of us. Could he possibly have meant one of us monks here at the monastery? And in that case, which one? Do you suppose he meant the abbot? Yes, if he meant anyone, he probably meant Father Abbot. He's been our leader for more than a generation. On the other hand, he may have meant Brother Thomas. Certainly, Brother Thomas is a holy man. Everyone knows that Thomas is a man of the light. Certainly, he could not have meant Brother Elrod. Elrod gets crotchety at times. Well, but come to think of it, even though he is a thorn in people's sides, when you look back on it, Elrod is virtually always right. Often very right. Maybe the rabbi did mean Brother Elrod, but surely not Brother Philip. Philip is so passive, a real nobody. But then, almost mysteriously, he has a gift for somehow always being there when you need him. He just magically appears by your side. Maybe Philip is the Messiah. Now, of course, the rabbi didn't mean me. He couldn't possibly have meant me. I'm just an ordinary person. Yet supposing he did, suppose I am the Messiah. Oh God, not me. I couldn't be that much, could I? As they contemplated in this manner, the old monks began to treat each other with extraordinary respect, on the off chance that one of them might be the Messiah. And on the off chance that each monk himself might be the Messiah, they began to treat themselves with extraordinary respect. And because the forest in which the monastery was situated was beautiful, it happened that people still occasionally came by to visit, to picnic on its tiny lawn, to wander in the paths, even now, and then go in the dilapidated chapel, sometimes to meditate. And as they did so, without even being conscious of it, they sensed an aura of extraordinary respect that now began to surround the 5 old monks. And it seemed to radiate from them, to permeate the atmosphere. There was something strangely attractive, even compelling. Hardly knowing why, they began to come back to the monastery more often, and they began to bring friends with them. They began to bring friends to show them this special place. And then their friends brought friends, and their friends brought friends. Then it happened that some of the younger men who came to visit the monastery started to talk more with the old monks. And after a while, a few asked if they could join. Then another. So within a few years, the monastery had once again become a thriving order, and thanks to the rabbi's gift, a vibrant center of life and spirituality in the realm. It's my hope that during our time together this afternoon, that we're able to take the rabbi's words to heart with the consideration that the Messiah is among us and is most certainly as complex and as unable to fit into boxes as each one of us. Amen. Blessed be.
In being our authentic selves, we have to dig deep sometimes. As you look at each other, as you look at me right now, within your mind, you think you have an idea as to what I am, where I've been, what I can be, what I can do, how my life will impact you, if at all. Being black, 5 feet, 8 inches, 100 and this age, at this time, standing here with you. My wish is to touch your heart. My wish is to encourage you. My desire is to help bring about change in the world. Change in the way that we see each other. Change in the way we accept each other. Beyond the categories that we can think of. Beyond race, beyond age, beyond ability, beyond affectional orientation. Sometimes our minds just block our view because of what we've heard from childhood through right now. We've heard it from our parents. We've heard it from people we love. We've heard it from our friends. Who are those people? This is who we think they are. And I say, open your heart and mind so that you can see yet another dimension of humanity. Not just my humanity, but your own. It is from viewing each other as we would have ourselves viewed, that's how we become our greatest selves. I want to take you there right now to an authentic village far beyond this place, beyond the barriers, beyond these walls, beyond the boxes. I want to ask you to do me a favor. You may close your eyes or leave them open while you do this. I want to take you on an authentic trip without acid, but one where you can fly. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Release it. Take a deep breath. Release it. Take a deep breath. Release it. Feel light as the clouds. Feel the warmth of the sun. Feel the freedom of the wind. You are an authentic being. You are full of love. You are the wind beneath everyone's wing. You are the twinkle of the stars. Boundless. Free. Authentic. Full of joy. Full of peace. You are greater than any obstacle. You are equality. You are authentic. A being that accepts all others. A being that's flexible, expansive, you see all, and you know all. You are the heartbeat. You are one with the universe. Take a breath. Release it. Take a breath. Release it. Take a breath. Release it. Open your eyes. Being this new being, you are prepared to open your heart and your mind to this new minister. You know none of what has happened before. You are wide open and alert to giving what it takes to have a new horizon open for you. This is a new time. You are full of the love that embraces all who enter this space. You are full of the joy that nurtures everyone in this place and far beyond. You are your authentic self. From this moment on, go forth and bring joy into this place, into your own life, bigger than any place that you can fathom, because you can soar beyond all obstacles. You are the love. You are the breath. You are the heartbeat and the light. Let it be. Take a breath. Release it.